department is been mandated to work with housing from different arenas, whether it's rehab, whether it is new construction, and rental. So one of the things that we are striving to do this year, our theme for housing for fair, which is April, is Fair Housing Month, is fair housing in action, and our theme is building opportunities for the community. One of the things that makes a community strive is that the community share in common of everything. That's one of our beliefs here. And you know, one of the sad things about it is that Albany has never recovered from the uh, tragics of two floods back in 94 and 98. Then we had two real bad storms, 17, the straight line wind, and then in 18, Michael. So we have never recovered from that. But as our department has been mandated, charged with trying to do housing and economic development to bring everything back. And now with this new administration, our department solely depend on revenues from our allocations that comes directly from the federal government, which is going to make it really sad for our community if things keep going the way it is and these programs get cut. But one of the things I really, really want us to work, and I don't know if some of you didn't even know that Brown is Albany. When I said we never recovered and the conditions that some of these people, these is a slide of just some of the places in Albany right now that existing that people are paying rent for more than 30% of their income just to live in. So these places really exist, and we rode around town, we looked at it, and these are the things: the apartment complex at home, and it just was, like nobody lives there. But the sad thing about it, do most of you know about fair housing? Do you all know that that was something that was put in place back in 1968? That when it came to protecting the law, the state and federal laws to protect the rights of everyone that have a choice to live where they want, regardless of the ones that Georgia covers: race, color, religion, sex, national origin, or if you become disabled or have children with under 18. That means that everybody should is covered. If you don't fit in one of these categories and you're a labor, then you should not be able to, because the law strictly says, right now, the law strictly says you have a right to live anywhere you want to, provide you have the means to pay for it. And when you're thinking about fair housing, you may not think about it, you may think it was just all about renting. And that's not true. It's not all about renting, it's about renting, buying, selling. When things to terms, having different terms, the advertisement, when you see things in one place but you don't see it in the other. When people saying something is available, then when you get there to look at it and they see who you are, then they're saying, they're saying it's not available. One of the biggest complaints that we do get here in this department is when it comes to disability and reasonable accommodations of a place. And what that is that it does not necessarily mean that the landlord has to come out of pocket to pay for these things when it comes to reasonable accommodation. You yourself may have to work with that. But if it's something that's funded by the federal government, then they are supposed to work with you to accommodate. Let's say that you went into the place and you were okay. But when you got after living there for a little while, you became disabled, you need certain needs. They are supposed to work with you to accommodate you, not necessarily move you to another place, but work with you to make that place livable for you to be able to. But you may have to pay the expenses. You may or you may not. It all depends on, but you have to leave the place like you find once you decide to exit. And then there should be no threats or coercion or any intimidation when it comes to housing, buying or renting. And so these are the things that if about to go out the window. The saddest thing that was to me on March 11th, I'm never ever forget that, is when we got the announcement about the key fair housing rules from the Secretary of HUD, saying that he made the announcement about rescinding affirmative furthering fair housing. The city, because we get federal dollars, are mandated with the programs that we do to make sure that housing, that no discrimination is going on with the recipients that we are using or within the city limit because of the federal dollars. But March 11th, this announcement came out to us, and he's trying to rescind this very thing. And you all, do y'all know what that means if this gets changed? What it's going to revert back to is going to be a lot of discrimination. It's going to a lot place and places where people are maybe the new construction, people are really going to be screened and not be able to get in these places if this rescind stay in place. Right now, with the dollars that DCA, which is the Department of Community Affairs, gives us, we are able to do adjusted rates. Multifamily can be a mixture of market rate and multi-rate using housing vouchers and all this. If that becomes then where we are supposed to make sure that things are going the way it is, they eliminate discrimination, including in our consolidated plans and our action plan, we're not going to longer have to do this. And if that's the case, then what's going to happen to the majority of these, particularly our African American Black families and the minorities that are here in this area? If you notice, since the thing started, a lot of the minorities that you used to see working in different places, and you see them in the afternoons when going to work and getting off, do you see that? You don't see a whole lot of that now. They're hiding, they're scared. And if this take place when they need somewhere to stay, it's going to be real tough for them to do that. So we're going to look at segregation is on the rise to coming back. Not on the housing, but with everything. We're getting loans, the whole 9 yards. So we gotta stand up. We gotta start speaking out. We gotta start when they send us these notices to contact your representative and senators to ask them not to rescind this, to make if they rescind it on a federal level, then our local level, which would be our city commissioners, county commissioners, as well as the state government, that they keep this in place so that we don't go back to segregation, because we are it's upon us and we are fearful that this is happening. So what happens to this? The tradition of marital home ownership, which is the American dream for most of us. And all of us have, if we don't already own our home, if we own our home, we're blessed. If we don't own our home and one survive, we looked at that as a way of building wealth. And now it is being taken away from us, the price restriction. You remember the old saying, one group stays on this side of the railroad track and the other group stays on the other side of the railroad track. Okay, we are headed back to that same significant role that people want to see in communities. Georgia was really behind in the eight ball when we hit COVID, or what the landlord rules were. A lot of people did not know about Georgia had landlord rules and their rights and all that. A lot of people were in places that they could get assistance, but they couldn't produce lease. They had to not have lease. They thought, they had a lease. It did not exist month to month. So they worked real hard to put some new rules into place. But we have to stop, because if we don't, and it's already like this, and when I'm going to show you some pictures of what I'm saying that we never recovered, this is what people are actually living in, paying rent. And if they dare to contact the landlord to fix anything, then they are subject to being evicted. And now we're seeing a lot. Landlords are not evicting people for so much of not paying rent. It's more of other things to get them out of the property, because you got a lot of foreigners coming in, buying up the property, holding on to it or whatever. They're getting rid of this because they don't want to have to buy by the House Bill 346, which says you also, as a landlord, are supposed to keep the house safe, sanitary, and decent for someone to live in if you're charging rent. So these are just some of the areas that when I say never recover, that we really need to fight to try to get change, to tear these down and start all over. But a lot of the people who own these property does not live in Albany. That's the bad. They have someone else managing it. Some of these places, based upon what people's income is, because if you all don't know, and I'm sure a lot of you do, Albany, Dougherty County is a poverty area. We may think we have overcome, but if you look at our income across the board, we are low poverty level income. When I first started working here, and when I saw that income to HUD, the Georgia, was teasing a lot of people. Y'all know what? Our salaries are not comfortable with what the state or other states are paying. Our income was actually poverty level income, which means that any of these people that was working here could qualify for the affordable homeownership program, which they will not realize that they could. When I showed them, I said, okay, y'all see this line, you see where we fall at. Okay, so you can qualify. And a couple of them, once they figured it out, a couple of them did go ahead and got into the program, went through the thing, and actually now are homeowners. But no, we were thinking your income is higher than the average, and it's not. When they went up on the income level last June, when they were saying, and the reason why is because they lumped Terra County, Lee County, and Dougherty County together to do the income line for our area. And yeah, maybe the income is higher in Lee County, but it's not here in Albany. It is taking an average of two people working at least at a minimum of $18 an hour to be able to afford the rent rate that is here now. And then some of them, they don't have any choice. So they're living in these type homes, which is just sad. We have to fight to get these dollars when the commissioners and county has money on the table that could be used for these programs to help. So this is what we want to eliminate. This is what we don't want to go back to the Thai area looking like this. This is not a community that's going to strive. And that's why people are living. When I first started here, there were 98,000 people here in this area. It has trickled down now to 70. And if we go below 50,000 of population, then the city will no longer be an entitlement community, and those funds that we are getting right now will cease. We will fall up under a different rate, so we will have to be applying and in competition for getting these dollars to bring to our community. So while these are on the table, we got to fight to try and use this and put it in a place where everywhere all these things are dilapidated houses are torn down and replaced or being able to repair. We need the dollars to do that. We put out an RFP, a bid process to build some homes over in Merritt Cummings Park. The average cost that we got back, the contractors for this area that placed the bid wanted anywhere from $180 to $200 per square foot to build a home. When the flood came and we had all that money, it cost the community development about $160,000 to put up a home, and most of the people bought the houses for anywhere from 90 to 100. Now we can't do that. So this is what it's all about: is to help people still bring the American dream back to our community, get everything stable, but there's going to have to be used a different type of product to do this, because we as a city of this apartment can no longer afford or get the allocations to do it. So we have partnered with an organization out of both of them out of Atlanta, for called AGS, which is Evolve Green Solution, an MP organization to do construction. They're going to introduce the new type of construction that will be affordable affordable to build. I put it this way: affordable to build for our area. Then this way it is will help with the energy cost of the homes that a lot of people experience, because we getting people who are complaining that they got a utility bill of $500 or more. The city, the Community and Economic Development, as well as the land bank, have a lot of lots. Our department have over 400 lots. So these 400 lots are empty. These 400 lot needs to be replaced with homes, and then we get rid of those dilapidated ones so people have something different to stay in. A lot of the homes, 1936. I got a call yesterday from a family whose home was built in 1936. So in 1936, there not a whole lot of codes were there. The house was still standing, so it was built out of good lumber, but the type windows, the tin roof, and the doors now are no longer energy efficient or the wiring to match what is here today for today's market, today's time. So we got to educate them, okay? Let's eliminate these time and find another housing alternative for our community. We got to become strong. We got to get high because if the most of us can get out of these rundown places and unit and get into something that's affordable, whether it's a single dwelling home or a multi-family home, it would make our beautiful, and then it would draw other people to this area, other companies that will increase our government. So that's what this is all about on April. This is what our goal is, to try to show something different for this area that is what we consider as being um, workforce housing. There is no such thing as affordable anymore. We want to stop using that word. It is workforce. That because soon as somebody say affordable, then everybody's gonna think these are Section 8 people. This is not the case. This is not who everybody that is trying. The most people Section 8 are not trying to buy. They're not trying to do. They're somewhat comfortable with where they are. However, we're talking about the firemen, the teachers. We're talking about people that serving you in the restaurant. We're talking about people who are just need a little hand to help. They're not looking for a handout. They're not looking for anything free. They just need to be able to get something that's decent and something that can maintain their family as they work each and every day. So we got to get rid of that. If you, our mandate, our national objectives to work to low to moderate. Now, if you don't fit into low to moderate, we still be able to help because we have partners with banks who, if you're over that income, there are resources that other banks, other program has that can help. So it's not just, it's mixed. We don't want to just put all low income people in one area. That's the segregation that they're trying to take us back to. You want a mixture of subdivisions with both. And then, that way, when if you've heard the thing, reach one, teach one. If you end up, next to it, then maybe sometimes these are the founders that we got to work with, because not only once we get you into the home, we'll still work with you what we call post purchase. We provide classes to show you how to keep the property up, what to do, and we try to form neighborhood watches as well as the subdivision neighborhood, so that there's a covenant that you got to do certain things to maintain your property here, or the organization will do it and then they charge you back. If you live in a lot of these big time subdivision, they have covenants, they have rules. So that's what we want to enforce and try to help people to become that, to be sustainable, so they'll no longer work on. And we got to eliminate um, the slight, the blood, these type homes. We got to. So one of the funding that this department get comes directly from her. Like I said, we're an entitlement community. One of the ones that we get is a CDBG. Some of you all have been our recipients that we give the money to you and you do the work. We're still getting that fund, and what it's supposed to do is to use it to revitalize neighborhood economic development and provide, community facilities. So that is places, that funding is still there. That's what we do with the CDBG. By the way, we will be having a community engagement about what to do, because we have to do a 5-year plan. On April the 22nd will be that community engagement meeting. It will be led by Kimberly Brooks. We will send out the place, the exact location to where this meeting will be. But this is your opportunity to tell the community development with the funds that you're getting. We would like to see you do A, B, and C. Because if the community doesn't say anything or don't come to these meetings and tell them, then as a staff, we have to try to figure out how to best use these dollars. We want community engagement. We want that. We have a CD council that is it's spread out all over Albany that are on the city council that talks to you, their neighborhood watching groups to do this. So we want to hear that input. These are the type of things that these funds can be used for. We can buy properties, real acquisition, and rehab them. We can relocate and them, and that is something that this area, those homes that we saw, if we decide to use them, we can use those dollars to tear those down and get them. We could do that. But one of the things that we have to educate the public about it, especially, and I understand the value of a home that you grew up in and you want to be able to pass it on to, but if it becomes unlivable, and then you won't have anything to pass on it, which is a lot of the problems that we have when it comes to rehab. A lot of the people who are in the homes where we have offered, let us tear this down and put something else there, they don't want to do that because the kids grew up in it. And I understand that, I get that. But then you got to be able to maintain it, because if they're going to enforce with code enforcement, then those things are going to get torn down anyway. So we gotta work within and educate. And then you all know we have public service that we try to work with the homeless program. The program that you see, the units for on Carroll. Has anybody gone out and seen those that are coming up now? It's a 32 unit project that are coming. It's mixed income, and also 13 of those will be certified for potentially homeless families that will be able to stay there, have wraparound service, and then be able to move on after a certain period of time, plus mixed income. So that's one of the, and then the economic development activities. We have a loan program where we work with businesses that are here located in Albany, can get funding to increase their business, get funding, or even work with uh, upgrading their location signs to make their area looks better. So that's another eligible activity for CDBG. Now, the other fund part that we get, which is we're going to use this, that we're with this developer, is called home funds. This is could be used for new construction. We use this for new construction and the TBRA program. This is where the TBRA program is a tenant-based rental system that Stride to Thrive, who is our partner, who who administer the program. The funds come from us to do this. It's a 2-year program that helps families with their rental payment. And then it's a wraparound service included with that to help them become self-sufficient. So after 2 years, they can come off that program and be self-sufficient and be able to pay the entire rent themselves. We have had success stories with at least 5 of them coming out of this program and actually buying a home, buying their own home, work towards. I'm actually working with 3 right now who's right at the door of being able to purchase their own first home, who went through the rental base, did their savings, did what they were supposed to do. So we've used the funds to do that, and now we can provide down payment and closing costs. We can provide down payment up to 35,000 or a gap, or we can do $5,000 in closing costs. If for people who are 80% or below AMI, which means that if we get the first portion of the loan from the bank, and then the debt can make up the gap to be able to buy the product. If they can't, the stay in the house for 10 years, and if we do total of 40, then it would be 15 years. That money will not have to be paid back. If they stay in the house, keep the payments up, that goes away in 15 years. If they decide to sell it before 15 years, we just recap that money, put it back into the program income to be able to use to give to another family. So that's what we basically doing with our home funds right now. It's a TBR program, and we're going to use it for construction, for new construction, once these two developers start building in Ragsdale subdivision. So let's say somebody don't want to go in there, that's okay. If they still meet those income guidelines, go through the program, as long as they purchase within the city limits of Albany, we still could use the funds to help with down payment and closing cost assistance. So what our goal is for that is to try to increase and identify. That's the housing counseling program. So let's say someone comes and want to participate in this and they're just not quite ready. I would work with them. The housing counseling program here will work with them to get them ready to be able to purchase. The goal is to get started. Hopefully they're supposed to start construction by May, and by August the first couple of homes should be ready, available for occupancy. So I am working right now to get people pre-qualified through our affordable home ownership program. Because the way it works, if let's say you meet all the criteria when it comes to income, and we can't get a bank loan, which a lot of them may have student loans. Based upon the funding that we receive every year and the funding that I have right now, we would be able to do 100% financing. Our interest rate for our affordable homeownership programs range anywhere from 0 to 5%. And generally, it runs anywhere from 0 to 3% based upon the cost of housing now. So this is what the housing council services will be doing. We also do rent accounts when people get in trouble or having problems with their landlord. To do that, if someone is about to lose their home and facing default, I work with them to help do loss mitigation. We also provide the financial literacy as well as group educational home buying. So for the affordable homeownership program, it requires that in any program that you're going to get assistance with requires a home buyer's education for a minimum of 6 hours. So what we do is 6 hours in a group, and then they make an appointment for one-on-one thereafter, and we work with them until we can help them try and find something secure. And like I say, based upon the funding that we have, then if we can't get a loan from the bank, then we would do the 100% financing. So that's what that is. That's what the housing council serves. The other money that we use for our CDBG funding is called an emergency house repair program. And this is for people homes who lives in the city limits, who need a HVAC system, which is a heating cooling system, or a roof. That is what we are offering right now. We're working in partnership with Albany Utilities. Albany Utilities sometimes and a lot of times get the application, and they do weatherization to make the house become energy efficient, and then they will refer them to us. And if they need a roof or HVAC system, then or some plumbing or electrical, if this triggers that, we do the emergency repair program.
BJ, is
Yes,
there
ma'am.
an eligibility criteria for the emergency repair program?
The home must be your primary residency. You
Mm-hmm.
must have paid the taxes for the past for 24, a homeowner's insurance. And if you have a mortgage on there, then your mortgage needs to be current. Okay, and you all was asking about the TBR pay. Here's the eligibility
Mm-hmm.
for the TBR pay. Our partner is Strive to Thrive. We provide the funding for the program, and Strive to Thrive is the administrator. So these are the programs that we have, and I think if anyone is going to refer someone, they must be come through one of these organizations as a referral that's going to case manage them through the process and help Strive to Thrive to finish it out. So those are the partners right now that we have who do referrals to Strive to Thrive for the 2-year program. And this is what our goal is. We believe that we got to stand together to erase unfair house discrimination. We got to stand together, and because together we stand, divided we will fall. And we got to promote fair housing solutions for everyone, regardless of who and where they come from.